Welcome to Google Plus Developers Live. My name is Chris Cartlin, and I'm a developer programs engineer working on the Google Plus platform.
And I'm Wes Tarl. I'm an engineer on Google Plus.
Today, we're excited to talk to you about Google Plus Sign-In on Android. Google Plus Sign-In allows developers to take advantage of a lot of cool features, including interactive posts, over-the-air installs, and app personalization. Today, we're going to talk about sign-in using the Quick Start that we've put on our website for you to use.
The Android Google Plus SDK is the fastest way to get started with sign-in with Google on Android. It's really easy. I think the Quick Start is a great way to get started.
So let's do it. We're going to look at my laptop right here. I'm at developers.google.com/plus. This is the home page for the Google Plus platform. We're going to try a Quick Start right now, which is on the left-hand side of the page. And we're going to look at Android, because that's what you're all here to see. This Quick Start guide for Android is a step-by-step guide that shows you exactly how to get started. So we're going to do that today, but you can go through, follow those instructions, and by the end, you should have the same application running on your phone or your tablet, whatever device you have. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go to the APIs console to make sure that I have everything configured for this project. Those of you that have used Google APIs before are very familiar with this. I'm going to create a new project for this demonstration, and I'm going to call it Android Quick Start. If you already have an application that you're using for your website, your production application should use that same project. And that should be the same project if you're using the web and Android. You want to put them all in the same place so that the features work well together. So I'm going to turn on the Google Plus API. The first time you do this, you'll have to accept the terms and conditions of the API. And you'll notice that this page has a lot of different boxes on it. And that's because you can turn on any API that Google offers just by flipping a switch here. So if your application does more than just sign in, this is the place you want to start. Now I need to set up the API access by creating a client ID for this Android application. I click Create a Client ID. And this is now the branding information that will be shown to your user. So make sure to pick a good product name that they'll understand who they're authorizing with information. And for testing, this doesn't really matter. But for your production application, you'll want to put in a nice little picture here so people know what your logo is and who you are. The type of client ID that we're going to create for Android is an installed application. And it's going to be for Android. You will also set up your web application here if you were going to do a website.
So this part's really important, and I think a lot of people miss it. This package name, you have to enter the package name from your Android manifest. The signing certificate, fingerprint, that's the hash of your signing certificate that you use to sign your APKs. I think that we'll put in a debug certificate for now, but you'll need to use your production one. If you don't do this step, then things won't work on Android.
Great. So let's do the package name first. The sample application already comes with a package name built into the manifest. We're going to just copy that from our instructions and put that into the API console. For the signing certificate, you'll need to use the key tool utility. I can also get that command from our documentation and copy that into terminal.
So you're extracting the fingerprint from your debug key store in Eclipse right now. For production apps, you'll have it somewhere else.
Correct. So the debug key store, which Eclipse uses, is a string that you can copy. And I'm going to run the key tool and enter the password.
And that password is Android for all debug key stores.
I'm going to copy the SHA-1 and put that into the API console. Great. This is also where you would turn on deep linking if you were going to enable that for the application. We're not going to do that today, but we'll talk about it some other time. Great. So that was setting up the API access. That means we'll be able to use Google Plus in our application. I'm now going to go look at Android in Eclipse. The first thing I need to make sure I've done is updated all of the SDK through the Android SDK Manager. The things you need are updated Android SDK tools.
Yeah, so those two at the top are installed by default. You'll need to scroll down to Extras and find Google Play Services. That's the client code for Google Play Services that you'll want to include in your apps.
Great. So I've already installed that because you only need to do it once for all your applications. And I'm ready to go. So now I actually want the code, which is important. So I'm going to import the Google Plus sample. So from import, I choose existing Android code into Workspace. And I have to browse for this root directory. This will be in your Android SDK's Extras folder under Google and Google Play Services. And I can click Open. And this shows me a couple projects.
So here at the top is the Google Play Services library project. That includes code and resources that you'll include in your app, or in the sample app in this case. And you can see that once you've got Google Play Services installed, you have access to things like Plus and Auth, and you see maps there too.
Great. So for this example application, we only need the Google Play Services library and the actual project for this application. So I've imported those. And there's one more step that I need to do to configure this. So I'm going to open up the properties on the Plus sample activity. Wes, you wanted to point out here that there's an Android section with the Google Play Services library.
Yeah, so here we've, in the sample app, we already include the Google Play Services library project. That's just to get you started quickly. When you're adding Google Play Services to your project, you'll need to, I think here we can actually click on it and show them to remove.
Yeah.
And then if you, this is what your project will look like when you start. And if you click Add, then you can add it back, the Google Play Services.
Great. So that's why we had to import that in the last step, so that it's available here in the project.
Yeah, it's slightly different than just a jar file because we include strings and the sign-in button and resources like that.
Great. So we also need to configure our build path. And to do that, we go to Java build path, and we're going to add external jars. This jar is available, like our documentation says, under Android SDK's Extras Android Support v4.
So this is a optional jar for your application. This backports fragments and loaders to Android Froyo Plus. We use it in our sample. Most apps use it. You can decide not to use it and still get everything you want from Google Play Services.
So we're going to use it, and in order to make sure it gets into our project, we're going to export the jar.
If you skip that step, you'll see lots of errors in your log tab.
OK. So we want to make sure we've done that. Under Order and Export, check the box. And I'll click OK. And now the application is ready to go in Eclipse, and I can run it. What this will do is build the project and actually push the APK onto the device and start it up. So we're actually going to switch now to a Nexus 10 that I have here that is running the Google Plus SDK sample. So on the home screen, I have the icon for the Google Plus sample. I'm going to open it. And we see a list here of different things you can do. The application that we put in for the Quick Start is divided up into all of the different features that you may want to use with Google Plus Sign-In. And they're separated, so you can pick which ones are most interesting to you and try them out independently.
Yeah, each one of these is a different activity.
OK, great. So we're going to look at Sign-In. That's the top activity here. There are 3 buttons that you can see. And the first one is Sign-In. And that's where a user initiates the sign-in flow. I click Sign-In. And I'm prompted with the consent flow that tells the user what's going to happen when I agree to sign in using Google.
So if you had skipped the dev console step, then you wouldn't see this screen. You would just see an error message. So that's a pretty good sign that you need to go sign up at dev console.
Great. So since we've done this, we know that we configured the console project correctly, and we're able to sign in. Looking at the consent screen, I'm giving information about me, like my basic, my name, my profile photo, and also the people who are in my circles are being given to the application. The second thing is that people who know that I'm using the app will be my circles based on my choice. So I'm going to agree to this, click OK, and this will complete the sign-in with Google. I know that I was able to successfully sign in because the app says welcome and then my name, which for this test account is Joe Tester. And that means that I am now completely signed into the application, and the Android application can now make requests to Google to find out information about me, and it can do any of the other Google Plus sign-in features that we've launched.
So we've got APIs for interactive posts and writing moments, and they're all available in the other activities that you showed.
Great. So the other buttons on this screen show me how to sign out on Android, which means that if I click the sign-in button, I have to come back in. If I had multiple accounts on this device, it would ask me which one I wanted. The other thing that all applications need to do when using Google Plus Sign-In is allow a user to revoke access if they no longer want to use Google Plus with your application anymore. And so we have a button that does that, so you can see exactly how to integrate that into your application.
And there's a simple one-line API behind that, too.
Yeah, it's all very easy.
So you can show your own UI there if you want. Yeah.
Great. So that's the quick start for Android. If you have any questions for us, please ask those on the Google Plus event. You can do that right now if you're watching live. You can also ask on YouTube, and we'll be looking at those to see if we can help clarify anything or just help you with Google Plus sign-in in general. I think there are also some questions that we get a lot over time. Can you help us go through some of those, and maybe we can help people before they even know that they had a question?
Sure. So one question is, what happens if Google Play Services is not on the phone? The Google Play Services has a client jar that you include in your application and an APK that Google sends out to devices from Froyo all the way up to the latest devices. Google updates that automatically on most devices, so you should be able to mostly assume that it's going to be installed. But if you need to, it's a good idea to use some of the APIs we have to check whether it's installed or not, and then you can force an install too, and we can give you the API's launch dialogues and things to do the install.
Awesome, great.
Another question, what if a user doesn't have a Google Plus account? So in this case, if a user has a Gmail account, then the Plus Client Connect that you'll see it in the sign-in activity. When you call that, it will check to see if the user has a Google Plus account, and then show the out-of-box UI, including entering their name and gender, so that they can sign up for Google Plus. And that's sort of not, you don't have to worry about any of that.
Great.
What happens after they upgrade? So after that flow, the users kick back into your app, and if you check in your on-activity result after that, you can tell if the user canceled or accepted the upgrade to Google+, or if they canceled or accepted signing into your app with that screen.
Okay.
So you can use that to decide whether the user's actually signed in or not.
Oh, great. So yeah, when the user clicks the sign-in button and has to go through that upgrade flow, they'll be brought right back to your application as a signed-in user.
That's right. Either as a signed-in user, or you'll know if they escaped it somehow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And oh, this one might be for you. What does Google Plus sign-in do to my quota limit?
Oh yeah. So some developers, for good reason, would like to know how the Google Plus API works in regards to quota. If the quota that we grant to you as by default is not enough, you can request more on the Google API's console by going to the quota section and then requesting more. By default, we think that there is a lot for users to do sign-in and other basic applications. And you'll keep in mind that there are two different types. There's two buckets for APIs. So certain API calls fall into a really big bucket for doing basic things like knowing who the user is. And then there's another bucket that's smaller because the calls are more expensive, and we want to make sure that we're providing the best service for each of those. So yeah, you can go request more if you need more.
So I don't see any other questions, but I think that people can, take what they learned from getting started and play around with our other APIs, and tune into future episodes of Google Developers Live to learn more.
Yeah, so we've shown you how to get started with Android using Google Plus Sign-In. All of the things we talked about are on developers.google.com/plus, and there's a lot more resources there. If you have any more questions.
Yeah, so there's more code for different platforms and languages at GitHub. You can ask questions at Google Plus Developers Community, or at Stack Overflow with the tag Google Plus.
Yeah, great. We have, we're on that every day, and we're really trying to make sure that we can help you become successful and use your applications.
Before we go, I think you had a big announcement today.
Oh yes, today Jan Rain and Gigya launched with Google Plus Sign-In. They are companies that allow you as developers to implement Google Plus Sign-In on your websites, even if you don't want to do the work of implementing Google Plus Sign-In. So you can use their services to configure many login options, and Google Plus is now available with them. And for example, I know that NPR, National Public Radio, has Google Plus Sign-In enabled as of today.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Great. I don't think there are any more questions, so thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm glad you could make it today. Well, thanks for everyone for watching, and tune in next week.